Well, good day, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for clicking on the video for another installment of SCORE Boston Presents. I'm your host, Rob Stutzman, and I have the privilege of volunteering with SCORE Boston chapter as marketing and social media chair. Today, we have Susan Williams of Back to Home Healthcare, which offers customized care and concern to clients that need unskilled or specialist nursing services. The caregivers at Back to Home Healthcare Services remain dedicated, dependable, and compassionate. We're also joined by her mentor, Steve Sodick, who is co-chair of the SCORE Boston chapter. So good to have you with us today, Susan. Please take a moment, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and how it got started, and how long you've been in business, and how have you been growing?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And good to see you, Steve, as well. So I've been in healthcare for about over 25, 30 years since my mom used to bring me to her nursing home. Back, those days we used to be able to go in and help your mom bring your daughters to work. And I just fell in love with senior care. Fast forwarded, my dad ended up taking sick and literally needed a respiratory therapist. So I went back to school to become a respiratory therapist, still working in senior care, long-term care. And then I transitioned. Being an employee, I wanted to have a different leadership. So I thought to myself, I can do this. I can be a director. And I challenged myself to a very, very intense 13-month program with Kindred Healthcare to become an administrator in training. Fast forward after that, I've been running nursing homes for the last 14 years. Somewhere around COVID, I will have to say, right at COVID, when I had to deliver, when I had to deliver the message to 178 residents that they no longer were going to be able to see their loved ones because of the emergency shutdown, I just felt um, defeated. I felt helpless. I knew at that point that there had to be about 40 to 48 residents in that nursing home that could be at home with services such as like in home care. So I remember this chant. It almost became a chant as I was speaking to my residents. All of them were saying, Susan, I want to go back home. I want to go back home. I don't want to stay here. I want to go back home. And I thought to myself as I went back, walk into my office, there's got to be something I can do. Even if I make an impact with 10 or 15 people, seniors, that I can assist them with getting out of the nursing home. I know that sounds like an escape route, right? Transition them out of the nursing home and bring them home so that they could get services at home instead of being in a congregated setting. And that next day, I opened up Back to Home Healthcare Services. And that's where I got the name from when I actually was in the meeting and all my residents were saying, I want to go back home. I want to go back home. Back to Home was established in March of 2020. We are a non-medical home care agency where we provide in-home care services to elderly, disabled, and children who want to stay at home with minimum assistance. We're located in Attleboro, Mass, and we cover anywhere from the tip of Providence all the way up to Massachusetts, up to Boston. I'm sorry, right around the Newton, Needham Heights area. We currently are employing 58 employees right now,
Wow.
a variety of full-time, part-time, per diem, and on-call. So it's been a absolute amazing journey, especially over the past 4 years.
That's amazing. That's an amazing amount of staff that you have on hand, and good for you for identifying a need in the market and satisfying that need by starting a business. That's tremendous. Steve,
Absolutely.
thanks for joining us today. Please tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been with SCORE Boston and why you volunteer.
Um, Thank you, Rob. Susan, great to see you again,
Thank
as
you.
always. I have been with SCORE for about going on 6 years now. And my background prior to that was in a combination of healthcare and financial planning and strategy and consulting. And so when Susan came to SCORE, we got connected and have been working for several years now. Probably, I think it's about 3 years that we've been working together. And it has been a sheer joy to watch Susan and all that she's done to build her company. It's truly remarkable.
Excellent.
you.
Excellent. Susan, you're in the business that relies a lot on staffing. What have you found to be successful in managing the many healthcare professionals associated with your company?
I have to honestly say that I take it back to when I was an employee. What was I looking for? It wasn't always about money. Although we know money is cash is king and money is great, but you have to hit the pain points of your employees. And what we found is they were looking for respect, transparency, open communication, incentives. We do a lot of mentoring. We offer a lot of incentive programs for them to grow. We have a calendar that every month we offer them some kind of activity. I have an open door policy, and I know people say all bosses have open door policies, but I mean, I have an open door policy. The other thing, too, which is important, is that they see me out in the field, not just as a boss. There's some days that I may have to go and work as a caregiver, and I'm okay with that. I don't ask my care, I rely on the fact that I will not send my caregivers or my employees out to a job that I wouldn't do.
Mm.
And last and finally is finding the perfect fit for that caregiver and client. Because obviously we know that if you have a caregiver that you're going to send out 40 minutes and they don't like to drive the highway, I can guarantee you that they're not going to keep that case. So one of the biggest things that I pride myself on for our agency is that we do a pre-meet and greet. So once the client has an assessment, we send out a caregiver, a possible caregiver, to meet that client prior to them taking the case. And we've been very successful with the amount of caregivers that we have right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Steve, having served a number of clients over the years, what did you find that was different about Susan and her business that made her so successful?
Well, I think you can see pretty much from just talking with Susan that she has an amazing amount of energy, really upbeat, and really amazing social skills, which when you're in healthcare and you're hiring a lot of employees, it's obviously critical. And so that's sort of what has generated. And Susan is also incredibly resourceful and creative. I mean, when she needed to recruit healthcare staff in the middle of the pandemic, which is obviously was incredibly difficult, we worked together on getting her helping to lease space for a training program, for instance, or she would go in and start working with a nurse with the curriculum for the trainers who were licensing the caregivers and stuff. So we developed relationships with them right from the start. So just that creativity, that optimism, and the human kind of social skills really have just shined through.
That's awesome. So Susan, to be a rising star, and congratulations on being our 2024 Rising Star Client of the Year. You need to be creative. What are some other innovative ideas that you've incorporated since being in business?
So as just to piggyback off of Steve, when we were looking for vetting caregivers, we decided that we were going to open up what we call a home health aid training program. So this training is a 6-week training program online, and 16 hours they actually come into the office. So that's one incentive of innovation that we have started, and we've been very successful. We do not hold anything over our caregivers. Obviously, if they decide that they want to go someplace else, they can. Part of the reason why, and I spoke to Steve about this, is that I understand that there is a caregiver shortage and that some people may not be able to afford it. It's completely free. It's to the community. Also, if they complete that, they can decide to work with us or they can decide to work with another agency. We also offer a free in-person CPR training. So they get free CPR training as well, AED training, and first aid, which is huge, where they don't have to pay. We also have a mentor management program that is under the state right now that we are offering. So we have all of our caregivers are matched up at the time of orientation with a mentor. If they stay with the program for 6 months or more, they can become a mentor, and it's an incentive for an additional $300 a month for them. So
Wow.
lots of, yeah. We also aligned ourselves with ESL community colleges so that we see a lot of caregivers that are coming over to the country and they may not, English may not be their first um, language. So we align them. We walk them over to the college, which is literally about 2 miles, or we drive them. And we get them enrolled in classes, whether it's ESL to better themselves. And then we have a career ladder where we're also participating with the workforce training program for some of our caregivers to become LPNs at no cost at all.
Wow, that's fantastic. Steve, SCORE has a number of resources that are available to both mentors and their clients. Other than your excellent background, what have been some of the resources you've been able to offer Susan?
Mm.
Well, let me see. Everything that Susan has mentioned points to the operational importance in building the business. What had to we had to build a framework around that to make sure everything was being managed properly. And so we were really focusing on two things. One was with all the creative things that Susan was doing, there were some legal things that needed to be worked out. It was leases, contracts, that sort of thing, employee contracts, all that stuff. So we worked with David Bourbon, who's one of our legal, one of my colleagues who's an attorney, and he provided assistance for Susan on that. And then another colleague, Sue Squires, who's a certified public accountant, and she's helped a lot in terms of just developing kind of a routine set of key financial indicators and a good reporting system. Because when you go from 0 employees to over 50 employees in the course of a few years, there's a lot going on operationally, financially as well as the operationally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they have been so instrumental in helping, especially with the financial part. I kind of had someone doing the books and we just needed to clean them up. And I'm just thankful that now we're in a good place right now. So,
Yeah.
Excellent. So Susan, you and Steve have had a number of sessions where you meet to talk about your company. What have been some of the more impactful advice that he's been able to give you?
oh, I would have to honestly say that a lot of it is the financial aspect of it, the key performance, how to scale, how to grow. That has been really important. And although I work as a nursing home administrator, I always tell Steve all the time is that when I read budgets, it's literally already set up for me, but it's different when you own your own business. You've got to know where those numbers are coming from, how to read those numbers, and how to project. So one of the biggest things too is the growth of the business and what we're doing as far as projecting what the next couple of months are going to look like. That's huge. And the operation of the business as well. The value and sustainability of we'll back to home, make it through 2025. And what I did last year may not get me to where I'm going this year. So kind of a very well-rounded program that we go over.
Nice.
We have. Yeah.
So is there any additional advice either one of you would offer to those running a business?
I would honestly say that people, I was telling Steve, and I was at a meeting recently, and I was talking about SCORE, and I just feel like the program is underutilized. When I talk about SCORE in a small business, I think people believe that, they're just giving you minimum advice and then they kind of send you on your way. But I would honestly say if you're running a business, whether it's in Massachusetts or any state, you should try to reach out to the SCORE. I believe you guys are nationwide, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Reach out to a SCORE mentor, find somebody that's compatible, find someone that you really enjoy working with. Keep those meetings. If you can't make those meetings, then follow up. It's very important to follow up with those meetings and have an idea of what you want to talk about so that that time is not wasted. Like you're really kind of getting the meats and potatoes done of your business or what you're looking to have done. So I would say find yourself a SCORE mentor and utilize them to the fullest. I was just telling Steve just recently that I was looking at some coaches, me and another agency owner, and some of them are charging like $25,000 for the year.
Oh my, wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
Steve, anything?
Yeah, I guess what I would suggest to people is if they want to start their own business, to be bold and go forward with it, but don't go forward alone. Because what I find is that a lot of people start businesses in the field that they know. I mean, Susan knows healthcare from a number of different directions. And that's obviously critical because you know what is good service, and you have that kind of a gut sense of what works and what doesn't. But a lot of people that I work with starting out don't know some of the stuff that is necessary to start a business, even if you're skilled in the core mission of the business. It might be the financial stuff, it might be the marketing stuff, the website development, all that sort of stuff. There's help for that. And we have a really, I mean, in Boston alone, we have 80 people with all different sets of skills. So do what you're good at, move forward, be bold, but don't be afraid to ask for help.
Excellent. Well, both of you,
Totally agree.
your energy is infectious and your optimism. So, well, we've come to the part of the call that we call rapid fire. And what I do is I'll ask you a series of questions, and you guys tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Favorite car?
Mercedes.
For one time in my life, I'd love to drive a Maserati.
Favorite place to travel to?
Miami.
Italy.
Ooh.
Favorite season of the year?
Fall.
Summer.
Summer.
That's where we are right now. I love it.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we at SCORE Boston, Susan, wish you all the success throughout 2024.
Thank you. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to what the next couple of years will be. I'm going to be a long-standing SCORE mentor, mentee, not going
Excellent.
anywhere.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Rob.
so
Great to
much.
see you, Susan.
Good to see you too.